Hello, Philip Cavanaugh. We are on the West Side Highway of Manhattan. Technically down here it's called 12th Street, but who's counting?
12th Avenue.
12th Ave, that's right. 12th Street goes
12th Street is just there. That's 11th.
That? Oh, the intersection.
There you go.
Anyway, we are in a Ford Focus RS Smurfy Blue.
2016.
And I noticed with your right hand you were fiddling with a manual gearbox of which it is outfitted.
I am manipulating the gears through a sequence numbering 1 to 6, hopefully in the right order. So yeah, so this is the 2016 Focus RS, great little car. They say 350 horsepower, I'm not sure what it is. It's obviously fully manual, none of the clever German or Italian double clutch technology in this, so it's an old school manual gearbox, 6-speed with a reverse gear for parking, and
you got to do the little lifty necky thing.
You got to do the little nifty necky to get it in reverse, which is good. So that means you know you're going into reverse.
Can't accidentally throw it into the wall of a restaurant. Let's say.
Although there have been excuses we've heard like that in the past.
Yeah.
And it's tied to a nice clutch, which is not too sharp. It's heavy duty enough to cope with the various driving standards that this car's had over the years. I don't think I think we've had one clutch replacement and we're on about 55,000 miles, something like that. Also, if the other thing with these cars, you don't actually need the clutch if you're driving slow in traffic. I can go, especially go up the gearbox without using the clutch. It's really is.
What do you call that? Power shifting?
I call it laziness mainly, and just trying to be a clever clogs about, oh, I'm so good at driving.
In America we call it power shifting.
Is it?
Because, yeah, we like the word power.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of power. We have a lot of power. So yeah, so this car is been around Classic Car Club for 5 years now. We bought it new. It's now kind of in a semi-retirement phase where I use it as a winter driver because of its all-wheel drive with good winter tyres. We've raised it 40 mil, changed the suspension, put new shocks on, raised it 40 mil, put a belly pan on, and then we take it up to do snow cross in the winter up at Lime Rock and New York Safety Track, and it really is probably the most fun you can have for, I don't know what it is even worth now, maybe 20,000 bucks, 25,000 bucks if we were lucky.
Have you jumped it yet?
Have I
jumped it yet?
Never jumped. I'm not a jumper. I'm not into jumping cars. Bikes, yeah. Cars, no. Keep the cars. But we did have it up in the snow at Lime Rock twice last winter, and it was just fantastic for drifting sideways in the snow. The all-wheel drive, decent tyres on it. Pretty well overused. Expression is bulletproof, but I do actually believe this car is pretty bulletproof. I mean, you know, 100 years of Ford engineering. Ford do certain things really, really well. When they get involved in Europeans and rallying in the 70s and 80s, they produce some great rally cars, great engineering. I do feel this could be like an RS Mexico from the 70s or an RS 2000 Escort from the 80s. It's just got that really well engineered compact feel. Everything is integrated really well on the car.
It has a drift button. I wish it didn't have that.
It has buttons. It has a drift button. It has, let's go through the driver mode. So we have a little drive mode there. So I'm in normal drive mode. Then we can go up one into the sport mode.
Drifty mode.
Yeah. Then we can go into track mode, which you must never ever do because it says track use only and we're not on the track. And then you can go into a drift mode. I will take the other position to Mike there. I think it's kind of cool and okay and fun. I don't know, I can't drift when I'm in drift mode or when I'm in non-drift mode. I just don't know. I don't have that skill set. But I kind of think it's, you know, I mean,
what if it had a button that had coffee button? That would be cool.
Coffee would be very cool. It just brings you to the nearest.
No, I think it'd have a thing in the dash. More importantly, though, the question I do want to get at is, it's 2021. We're driving around the metropolis of New York City. A very modern place.
Not even in sport mode yet.
And we're doing it with a manual gearbox. So, you know, we've moved on since then. Automatics, sequential gearboxes. Sequentials work really well. But yet, we still have a connection to the manual phallus. Overrated, the manual gearbox, or underrated?
Well, you only have one choice in this model of car. So, whether it's, I think the rating of whether it's overrated or underrated really comes down to how well engineered the gearbox and the clutch and the four-wheel drive transmission is. For me, I think it's underrated because it's excellent. It really is excellent. This is a car that should have, for originally, I think it was $45,000 or $50,000. It's a car that really should have just be an absolute collector's item. Really is a great bit of kit, all American. So we can't explain that it's these clever Europeans or clever Japanese gizmos going into it. They've made an analog car that just does what it's supposed to do. And I think in an era of everyone faking it until they're making it, this is the real deal.
What if we were in a Porsche GT3 right now with a manual gearbox?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be less of a fan of that. I mean, I like the technology that is available, and having spent about 10 hours of the weekend watching Le Mans and the GT3 Porsches.
None of them had a manual.
No, they had they were all on the PDK, which is excellent. And for a Porsche GT3, I would 100% have a PDK gearbox, because I think you can drive the car better. The car is designed with that gearbox in mind. However, I do understand that people who have a nostalgic memories of manual cars from years ago. I understand why people would want a manual gearbox. I totally understand that. A lot of drivers feel they're getting more out of the driving experience with a manual gearbox. Totally get that. Just not for me. You can't put a PDK in this. Would I like a... You can get, I think Quaife do a sequential gearbox that changes the characteristics, and we have discussed putting a Quaife gearbox into this RS, and I think it's going to set you back between $15,000 and $20,000.
You'd also have to say to people, I have a Quaife gearbox.
I have a Quaife. I crunched my Quaife.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. I mean, it's...
Is it a sequential Quaife?
It's a sequential Quaife with paddle shift, so you can push this towards a more GT3 PDK experience. I think the limitation on this is it just feels like the power is right for the gearbox. I think my personal position is, once you start getting up to 400, 500, 600 horsepower, you're not really efficient with a fully manual gearbox. You do need the extra technology that the sequentials and the PDKs and all these clever double clutch systems give you. For me, this is as much as I'd want. I like these. I like the Subaru Impreza STIs. I like the Mitsubishi Evos. They all work really well with analog manual gearboxes.
Kind of like post-rally hot hatch.
Yeah.
Circles.
Yeah. I mean, it's the design is, it's a coordination of design and, you know, the function of the car. Does this car need a sequential gearbox? I don't think so. But is it fun to drive around Manhattan in any weather? This is the other thing with this car. It's the best car to drive around Manhattan in the sun, in the rain, raining all weekend. You can get the drift button on. Snow, it's fantastic. So it's a really good. You've got 5 doors, so you can seat belt up 4 adults, and you've got some a small trunk for some luggage. So it really is ticking a lot of boxes and a whole load of fun for 20-25 grand, whatever it is. So yeah, so I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't take it on a Monday afternoon to Brooklyn, because apparently I've just taken the wrong road.
Yeah, why are we going to Brooklyn?
We're going into what it was the Battery. What tunnel is this? The battery?
This is the battery tunnel.
No, it's not anymore. It's Major Deacon or something. Or Johnny Deacon.
I'm an old school New Yorker. It's the battery.
It was I think it was a cop or a military guy. So anyway, we're just gonna go pop down to Red Hook now. So that's what we do. But yeah, I mean, I talk very highly of this car because I think it's a great little machine for a bit of all-round fun, all-round use, practical. Stick your granny in the back, take her for Sunday lunch. Job done, perfect.
Overall, so obviously underrated in this car.
I think phenomenally underrated because people just don't get it. But people who get it, it's like a lot of things, they really get it. You get a lot of thumbs ups, you get, you know, a lot of people
But what about
showing you love.
if you had to join the Church of the Almighty Manual? Would you put some money in the till for manuals overall, or is it? Can you say that it's underrated or overrated?
The manual experience is, you know, it's attached to your auto DNA. So my auto DNA would clearly be manual cars from the 70s and 80s when I started driving. But I kind of cut it because we've been so lucky to have experienced so many cars. You know, would I want a top of the range?
It's not because we got lazy.
Ferrari? I don't think so, because I think we drive, I mean, I'll drive this from November through March, April. So I'll drive this this will be my daily driver. And I think it's a great experience. It doesn't bother me to have to change gears. For me, it's very much about the car. I got to be honest, it is something. One of the only probably performance car still doing a new manual is the Porsche in the GT3, or I'm not even sure if the GTS or GT3 or 911 in general do manual cars. And I think they've stolen a lot of the market. They've stolen a lot of buyers because I do think there's a huge demand for traditional.
What about American, like modern day muscle cars, like all the
you could
Dodge products?
Yeah, you could compare these and the Porsche to, for example, the Mustang or the. I just think we've had numerous Mustangs. We had that Saleen and with full manual gearbox. I just think they're dreadful. It's too much power. It's almost like it leaps out of first gear into second gear. It wants to get out of second. It wants to get out of first gear before you want it out of first gear. It just doesn't feel. They don't feel engineered correctly. I think those cars in particular work better with just a traditional automatic gearbox.
Outside of 911, any modern day cars that maybe should have a manual that you'd be interested in that don't?
Only for me, they would have to be, I think, capped at about a 3-litre engine and 350 horsepower. I'm just not into that great big. For example, a McLaren 720. Who would want a manual gearbox in that?
I wouldn't.
So it comes to where is for me it's around whatever 300, 350 horsepower. These smaller cars like the Minis, you know, the Minis do the manual Mini Cooper S and stuff like that. They're doing a manual and it seems to work. But again, a smaller engine, not pumping out huge. You know, here you go. We can get behind this Range Rover. Would you want that in a manual? Can you imagine? I've driven the original Range Rovers in manual.
I think I might like my Silverado in a manual.
Would you?
Maybe.
That's interesting.
Maybe.
Seems like a whole lot of hard work, doesn't it?
It's a whole lot of hard
It's
work.
like
It's
concentrating.
automatic.
It's huge.
I might as well get fully indebted.
Oh, Hugh L. Carey tunnel.
Oh yeah, he's a former governor.
Is he? Not a cop.
So we'll say, overall, manuals
No, I'd say overall, Ford Focus RS.
Underrated.
Underrated.
I don't like how you're bringing in the parameters here to this car.
Well, I think you're trying to simplify. This is what it is. You're trying to dumb down something that cannot be. I refuse to be dumbed down.
Too late.
I just think we can. You have to take it model specific. Now, if someone can please deliver me an RS, a McLaren 720 and fit a fully manual 6-speed gearbox,
so we can crash it.
No, so we can do a a 20-minute appraisal on it, then I may come up with the ultimate. It's about to happen anytime soon. So I'm gonna tie it to this. This Focus is amazingly manually underrated.
It's you're focusing on a focus.
I can't help it.
Wow.
See, I'm laser focused.
All right. Thank you, Phil, for your insights on the manual gearbox in this very particular car.
My pleasure.